Hello and Merry Christmas! I hope you all are having a wonderful holiday. Today I'm sharing with you a card I used dies for, but not super detailed. So I have this back portion of the Lovely Latte die set, and I am using a gray marker, and I'm sort of marking out where the lip of the coffee cup would be. This card is inspired by the last card I did. I actually got this idea while I was working on it. So now I'm taking my coffee colors and I'm going to mark out where the coffee is going to be in the mug. But I am using the lightest color first. I need to make sure that I don't color over where I made the little lip of the coffee cup. The idea being that this is a glass mug with coffee in it. So you would be able to see the coffee, but you would still be able to tell where the edge of the cup was. Once I have the coffee marked out, I'm going to add the darkest bits. And for this one, I'm going to one side, a little bit of the middle, and then the tiniest bit on the opposite side. This would have probably helped if I had had a reference photo, but I did not, which is silly because I'm sure there's like a bajillion coffee images in glass mugs on the internet. But I digress. Next, I'm going in with my mid-tone. I say mid-tone. I don't know that it's ever really used as mid-tone. It's kind of just a medium color. And I am trying to soften those darkest edges. And then I'm going to go over the whole thing again with the lightest color marker. Now, the reason I'm doing this is to make the blend look a little bit more smooth. And the more ink you add, it does tend to smooth it out quite a bit. Once I'm satisfied with the bottom portion of the coffee, I'm going to work on the top. And like always, I kind of stick to the left and the right for my shading. Next, I'm going in with a darker G marker. Darker gray marker. I think this was GG. I don't even know which one that was. But anyway, going in with the darkest one, just to add a little bit of shading to the glass. And then I'm going to go in with the mid-tone, and I'm going to add a little bit more shading, but this time a bit lighter in different areas of the cup. Then I'm going to go in with my lightest color and do the exact same thing, but I'm still leaving white spaces because I don't want the cup gray. And if you're lost at this point, I'm sorry, I am not doing the best at communicating what exactly I was doing. If you really study glass cups, you could probably get good at this. Glass kind of freaks me out. I have a hard time with that. My brain doesn't want to see it as flat colors and shapes. It wants to see it as glass, so I really struggle with that. I'm adding a little bit of smudgy white highlight here and there, just to make it look like a reflection on the cup. Next, I have my little whipped cream. Again, this is a flat piece, there's no detail to it. And I'm taking my RG030 marker and creating lines where I would like the shadows to be. I'm then going to go in with my colorless blender to soften it up. Now, once I've smoothed out the color a little bit so it doesn't look so harsh, I am going to go back in and redefine the line with that same color, but I'm just going to make the line very thin. And sort of where the edge of the shadow would be. Now, for my cookie, I think this one came from the Gingerbread House add-on set, Build a House gingerbread add-on, whatever it is. I'll have everything linked in the description box below. But I am going to make my shadows using dots. And I started with my darkest shadow. I'm going to go in with the mid-tone, or the middle color actually. And I'm going to kind of color that in, add a couple little random spots because it's a cookie, it wouldn't be perfectly flat. And then I'm going to color back over it with my lightest tone just to soften everything. Once that's dry, I'm going to add some little icing detail with my white gel pen. And now I'm moving on to my background. I have the largest of the... I always have struggle with this, I don't know why. It is the stitched rectangle stackables or something like that. But I'm using this little circle template that I've had for a bajillion years. I say that, but like really, I've had it since I was like 18 or something. And I am going to make little circles here and there, and these will be for ornaments on my background. I'm also going to use the straight edge to create a line where my table will be for my little mug. Now I know it's really hard to see what exactly I'm doing because the pencil is so light, and I did struggle really badly trying to get my camera to focus. I cleaned the lens I don't know how many times, and it didn't want to focus, and I don't know what its problem was. So I had to stop and start this video a whole bunch. So if it looks a little blurry in any places, I am sorry. Same for the last video. But here I'm using the small circle. I don't know if it's like 3/16 or something. And I am just making little circles for like a beaded garland, because the idea of this will be that there is a tree in the background and a little table in the front. I'm also going to just quickly hand draw in some lights and the little ornament toppers. And then here I'm done. This is my attempt to show you sort of what it looks like. It doesn't have to be super perfect. I am going to take a kneaded eraser and try to lighten this quite a bit, because once you color over a pencil line with alcohol ink, it traps it in there. So you're going to see it if it's a light enough color. So once I'm happy with how much I've erased, I'm going to trace around each of the elements on my panel with this green color. I will spare you, I'm not going to show you me outlining everything. This did take a little while. It wasn't too terribly bad, and I really wasn't perfect with this, but while it is an element in my card, it's not the focus. So once that's completed, I'm going to take that same green and I am going to color all around each of the elements in the background. And also, this did take a little while, but I'm also going to spare you from watching me color this whole thing. So once it's done, I'm going to take my darkest green and I'm kind of creating some shadows around the ornaments mostly and around the little garland. And once I do that, I'm then going to make quick little lines kind of in the shape of pine needles or whatever, because this is going to be a Christmas tree. Now, if you're not used to drawing or making things up like this on your own, you can always go ahead and grab a reference photo. Again, probably would have helped me, but I tend to be really bad about that when I'm coloring a pre-drawn image. Sometimes I'll use a reference photo to get colors and stuff, but when I make up stuff on my own, I'm real bad about just not grabbing a reference photo. And I'm sure there's plenty of close-ups of trees, but whatever. Nothing I've done here is super complicated. So I did dark lines to sort of represent the branches, lighter lines kind of in the mid-tone range or whatever, and I just colored over them. And then after that, I went back over the entire thing with my lightest green to sort of smudge everything out a little bit. Now I'm coloring the ornament, this tiny one. And this red combination I use again for the little garland, and I also use some of the same reds for the tablecloth. So moving on, I decided that I would have red, gold, and white ornaments maybe. So that's what I'm doing here, just coloring in the other ornaments. I didn't want too many colors going on. I wanted to keep it pretty simple. And again, this would be great if you had reference photos. I think I did okay with most of them. I will say that after I got into this, it was actually quite freeing. I got more loose with my strokes, which actually works out pretty well in a background like this. And the Ohuhu markers are very fun to color with, in my opinion anyway. Like, I've colored with Copics a little bit, but I don't know, I like these nibs. So this was actually very fun for me. And if you color stamped images already, I don't really think that you have to be super artistically inclined as far as drawing goes in order to make such a simple background. For my white ornaments, I'm going to add a little bit of shading with some light grays, and then I'm just going to blend it out with the colorless blender. I'm basically going to repeat the process that I did with the ornaments on the little beaded garland. I'm going to color it all in flat with my lightest color, and then I'm going to add the darkest shadows with my darkest color, and then I'm going to kind of move back into the lighter colors just to make it look like they are, in fact, little spheres. And for the little lights in the background, I decided I would pull out a somewhat bright but also very pale yellow, and then I think I went in with a slightly darker one just around the very edge. And then I'm taking my colorless blender to kind of color around the ornament to sort of make a glow effect, because it will push the ink out from where it is. Next to the tablecloth, I am just coloring that with my lightest red color. I'm going to add a little bit of shading towards the back and the very sides with my darker colors, and I'm going to blend that back out into the lightest color. It's basically the same thing I would do on a stamped image. This is just on a larger scale. Now I'm going to figure out where I want my coffee mug and my little gingerbread cookies so that I can kind of get a placement for my shadows, because once they're up there, there would be shadows up there. Now this next part I was actually a little bit nervous about, and I don't know how I feel about it, but when you look at a mug that is sitting on a colored surface, if it's a glass mug I mean, you will see some of that color come through. So I tried to replicate that as best as I could using a light version of the red and a light version of the green. I'm not 100% sure I love it, but I mean, I guess it still reads as a glass mug. Now to help things pop just a little bit more, I'm going to add some white details. I'm doing little dots on both the white ornaments and the red ornament, which on the red ornament, it doesn't really look that good to me. I was trying to make it look glittery, but I definitely need practice. And again, reference photos, people. I'm telling you, because I really need to practice with that. And sometimes I'm good with it, and then times like this, I just fly by the seat of my pants. I don't know what my problem is. For the little strings of beads, I am adding just a little tiny dot of white on the top of each one to make it look like a shine mark, and I'm kind of smudging it out with my fingers so it's not so harsh. Now I'm going to adhere my little cup and cookies down. And I know the edges of this is really messy, but I have this little frame that I have used the heart garland backdrop for, and I just cut out the little garland. Now that everything's glued in place, I'm going to carefully add some more shadows. This was a little bit rough on the nerves because one slip and red is really hard to get rid of. So after I finished that, I glued the background on, and then I added a little banner that I used the Cricut to cut out that says Merry Christmas. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!